Welcome to Rambam in Depth. Today we're going to be discussing the Rambam Hilchos Malva V'Loiva Perek Yigimah Halacha Hey. The Rambam says as follows: A Malva is Tavere, the Kabbalah is Malapare. If someone loans money to his fellow and he fixes a time when he has to repay it, even though he didn't make a kinyan, he can't collect or demand collection of the debt until the end of that time that was allotted, whether it's a oral loan without a contract, without a written contract, whether it was written in a written contract, ben shilvei al mashkin, whether he loaned him with a collateral, ben shemeis loiva, ben shemeis malva, whether the borrower died or the lender died. In any case, you cannot collect the debt before the time that they designated had passed. But then the Rambam adds, the stam milva shleishim yaim, the regular din of milva alone, without any specified time that was designated, we assume that it's 30 days. Ben bishtar al peh, ben al mashka, whether it's a shtar, a contract, ben al peh, whether it's oral, without a contract, ben al mashkin, whether it's with collateral. In any event, a loan is only due after 30 days, unless otherwise specified, as the Rambam continues. Vim hisna, and if he stipulated, he made a t'nai, a condition, sheyitba b'chol zman sheyirtze, that he could collect whenever he so desires. The creditor makes that stipulation. Yesh le'leteva b'yayma, he could collect from him that very day. He could demand that very day payment. Why? Shetanai mamanhu, because this is a condition that deals with monetary matters, and you can make conditions about monetary matters because it's up to you to decide what you want to do with your money. And if you decide you're going to collect the debt right away, you can collect the debt right away. So here we have a halacha that stam halva is shleishim yaim, that a loan is only due after 30 days, and you're not supposed to collect the money and come to the debtor, to the borrower, and say, I want you to pay me. You have to wait 30 days before you can do that. Now, the question here is, what is the reason for that? So some explain that it's based on a presumption. The presumption is that since they didn't decide how much time is allotted for him to pay, so we assume that they agreed on a reasonable time, and a reasonable time, our sages decided, is 30 days. 30 days is a reasonable period of time, unless otherwise stipulated. But the question is, if that's the case, if it's based on the assessment of the malva, of the lender, that that's what he had in mind, lender and the borrower, if that's what they had in mind, then why does the Rambam have to add that if they stipulated, if the loan lender stipulated that he can collect whenever he wants, he's allowed to collect whenever he wants? What's the why do you need a t'nai? A t'nai, a condition, is where the idea is without the condition it would be impossible, but the condition makes it possible. But over here, why should you even need a condition if it's based on the malva, the presumption? Well, there's no more a presumption. The malva says, I want to collect today. He never said it. He never designated a time. So, of course, it's up to him. You don't need a t'nai. You don't need a condition. You don't need the laws of conditions over here. So, Rav Velvel Brisker, Chadusha Griz, says that from this we can prove that it has nothing to do with the assessment of the malva and the lever, that the borrower and the lender assumed that a normal time would be 30 days, but rather it's based on the Torah, that the Torah requires that you wait 30 days before collecting a debt. Where does it say so in the Torah? So the Gemara in Makis, Daf Gimel Amud Beis, Gemara in Makis brings a pasuk. It says in the Torah, when it talks about the laws of the sabbatical year, you're not allowed to, once it passes, you're not allowed to collect any debts. The Torah expresses itself as follows: Karva Shnas HaSheva, the seventh year has approached. Shnas HaShmita, the year of Shemitah, the year when debts become canceled. So the question is asked, if it says the 7th year, we know that it's the year of Shemitah. So why does it have to say the year of Shemitah? That's to tell us that there's another kind of situation that is compared to a year in which you're not allowed to collect. What is that? 30 days of a year in the many areas of halakha is considered a year. So when it comes to collecting a debt, you're temporarily not allowed to collect the debt for 30 days. Just like you're not allowed to collect the debt when the sabbatical year passes, the same way you're not allowed to collect the debt before 30 days elapse between the loan and the collection of the loan. So this pasuk seems to suggest that there's a biblical law that says you have to wait 30 days. But there are two ways of understanding this. Some understand this to mean that this is just an asmachta, this is just a hint in the Torah, support. But it's basically based on a rabbinic enactment that a loan, we assume, without specifying how many days or weeks or months or years the loan is in effect before he has to pay, we assume it's 30 days. That's a reasonable time. But the Rabbi says, no, it's not based on what we think the lender had in mind or the borrower had in mind. It's based on a pasuk that you're not allowed to collect the debt before 30 days. And therefore, in order to, if you stipulated otherwise, the only reason why your stipulation helps because there's a law of Tanai. And a Tanai, a condition in monetary matters, does take effect. And with this, Rav explains a Rambam later on, Perek Beis, Halacha Beis, that the creditor cannot collect from a guarantor, someone who guaranteed to pay the loan for the borrower. He has to wait 30 days from the time that he became obligated in a court. When he came to court and says, I am taking responsibility to pay the debt, let's say it happened weeks or months after the actual debt took place, you cannot collect from him without waiting 30 days, just like you have to wait 30 days from the borrower's borrowing. Now, if we say it's based on the assumption that the loan doesn't become due when they made the loan, that they had in mind that it should be 30 days, who cares whether the borrower, whether the guarantor took responsibility? The obligation is based on the malva and the loiva, and after 30 days it becomes due. The fact itself that the guarantor, we have to wait 30 days after the guarantor, proves that this is a scriptural decree that a loan, when you have an obligation of a loan, you have 30 days to pay, and therefore it makes a difference whether it's the borrower or whether it's the guarantor.